When you think of legal documents, do your eyes and ears glaze over? Please know that you are in for a dynamite episode. I am giddy excited for you to hear about this. We have guest expert Cory Sterling back on the podcast because he is phenomenal. We talk all things. We talk about living your dream life, of which he is, and I'm super excited for him to share with you what he is doing in the world. And then we talk, of course, about legal documents and things you need to be looking at, checking in, making sure all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted. And then we dive into your Google business profile. I was super excited to talk about this, and so is he, because he is an expert at getting Google reviews. So he shares his tips, tools, and tactics in getting those Google reviews so that you can be the only option in town. And Cory is the only option in town when it comes to legal documents. In fact, he is a referred partner of mine. If you're needing help with legal documents regarding your studio business, check out Cory. Now, before we dive into today's content, let's make sure you grab a social post or an evergreen post and bring it on over to your Google Business Profile and make sure you are updating it. If you don't know what I mean by that, go grab my Google Business Profile workshop. It's completely free and it tells you exactly what to do to optimize that Google Business Profile so that you are laying a strong foundation for your SEO. All right, everybody. Now, get ready to enjoy the next 30 minutes with guest expert Cory Sterling of Conscious Counsel. Welcome to Brick and Mortar Visibility, your go-to podcast for local business owners who want to stand out, scale up, and create the freedom they deserve. I'm Melissa Rose, a fellow business owner who knows firsthand that running a brick and mortar business isn't just about the sales. It's about building a legacy. Here, my guests and I are going to dive into real, unfiltered conversations about what it actually takes to run and grow a thriving business. From building and leading a powerhouse team to creating a turnkey operation, we're going to help you avoid that cash flow crunch and tap into next-level marketing strategies that bring the perfect clients in your doors. Ready to be the only option in town? Let's do this. Cory Sterling, thank you so much for being back on the Brick and Mortar Visibility Podcast. So good to see you.
Melissa, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here on the Brick and Mortar Visibility Podcast. We're already laughing. We're already
laughing. You guys, he's a bit of a smart ass, and you're going to love him. Make sure you watch the YouTube if you're able, because Cory, where are you coming in from?
I'm on the island of Crete in Greece, and I'm using the internet to log into Zoom and have this conversation.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about, you're actually in like an apartment or something. You're inside, obviously. But what's the weather like right now in Greece, and what time of day is it right now for you?
Yeah, it's 3:12 p.m. This is what it looks like outside. The birds are chirping too loudly, so I didn't want that to affect the podcast. Oh my gosh, it's like 28 degrees and sunny. This past weekend, I took a trip. I had a friend visiting. We went to this little village in South Crete, and we went to like a little festival, and we ate some local foods, and we danced. And then on the way back, we stopped in another village to eat at like this small local taverna restaurant where the grandmother cooks all the food, and it was more delicious than I could have hoped.
Oh,
so, wow. Yeah, a lot of taverna here. That's a big thing in Greece, taverna.
Okay, and what is that for us?
It's a tavern. Like, they don't call them restaurants when they're more like countryside, cozy type of eating establishments. They call them tavernas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Cory is back on the podcast, and the reason I wanted to have Cory back on, first of all, he's very fun, but he's a lawyer, you all, and he's not your typical lawyer. He specializes, meaning suit and tie guy. If you see him on YouTube here, he's got a ball cap on, he's got his muscle shirt on, and he just being generous. And he does law though, heart-centered law, right, for studio owners, specializing in those studio owners, yoga studios, fitness studios, and whatever. So he is really, that's his niche, and he's really good at it. So before we dive into that, though, the last time you were on the podcast, I spoke to you, and you were in Canada. And Cory is very inspiring to me as somebody who is constantly thinking about my vision and where I want to go and how I want to get not necessarily how you want to get there, but I know where I want to go. And I want you just to speak about how you created this life where you're traveling all the time. Every time I see you, you're in a different space.
Thank you very much for the kind words, Melissa. It's really sweet of you, in a very sincere way. And in terms of creating this life, the first thing that I'll say is there's two most important things. The first is that in order to create your dream life, you have to have clarity on what that looks like. So what I'm doing now is something that I knew for a lot of years that I always wanted to do. Before I became a lawyer, before I started working as a lawyer for boutique fitness studios and working in the health and wellness space, I loved travel. And the feeling that always was the saddest feeling for me was when a trip was ending. And I never wanted a trip to end. So I reversed engineered my life, and I just thought, like, what could my life look like if the trip never ended? And that's sort of, I mean, it's going to end at some point. but that was just something that was really, really important to me. So I thought, and I said, okay, what can I do if my trip never ends? And so I should offer services that I can only do online, and I should work with heart-leading people, and I should, law is such a vast area of different practice areas. I just want to do one specific thing and be the best in the world at it. And for me, that was setting up health and wellness boutique fitness studio owners to be legally protected and confident and secure. And so I only focus in one area. We draft 5 types of agreements. Like, as a lawyer, you could draft 2,000 types of agreements. Yeah. I do 5 things. I do them really well. I work with the same clients who all have the same problems. And over 8 years of doing this, I've had a lot of experiences of seeing what legal issues a studio owner will go through, resolving those problems, going through the problem, resolving the problem, and just keep going. So the first answer is that it was an authentic vision for me of deciding who I wanted to work with. So very briefly, I used to be a group fitness instructor. I was a yoga festival owner. I loved exercise and teaching spin and teaching yoga. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a Pilates teacher. So all of these things are very natural for me. So I knew I wanted to work with awesome people. I knew I wanted to only do one specific thing. And I knew that I wanted to be something that I could work with anywhere all the time, because that would release any restrictions from what I could do and where I can do it and how I could do it. And the second thing is that, and this is for everyone who's listening, that nobody gave it to me. And not only did nobody give it to me, nobody thought that I could do it when I started doing it. And my favorite memory of this was when I lived in a big city and I played on a soccer team with all lawyers. So just everyone close your eyes and imagine the most fun you could have being on a competitive sports team with like all these alpha male lawyers who are, everyone's right about I was just like, whoa, I'm not these people. I'm not doing this. But I told them when I had the idea, I was like, hey, I'm gonna work with yoga studios and I'm gonna travel around the world and be a lawyer. Not one. There wasn't one person who was like, good idea, that'll work. And I'm really, really proud of my journey. I'm proud of my progress. I'm proud of how I constantly get better. But also, just for everyone to know, part of living your dream life means that you have to believe in yourself more than anyone else is going to believe in you.
Amen. Absolutely. I love that. Thank you. You guys, tears in my eyes because it's so true. It's so true. I'm going through some fun things right now, and my closest people are like, this doesn't make sense. Why are you doing this? And it's so scary because you don't have necessarily that support, but that's not what you need. You need to know inside what's right for you and go for it. 5 agreements that you specialize in. What are they?
Yeah, so how the legal practice has formed, so I've been doing this for 8 years. This past year, we won an award for Health and Wellness Law Firm of the Year. In 2024, we won an award for Fitness Lawyers of the Year. So it's all about practical solutions and just giving people the basic things of what they need to be protected and making it as easy and simple for them as possible. How I teach a lot of my clients is you want to think about the law as being a series of relationships. So you have a relationship with your clients, you have a relationship with your team, you have a relationship online, you have a relationship with your landlord because you're a brick and mortar studio. And for the goal in each relationship, from a very simple sense, is to communicate expectations openly and honestly. We can talk about legislation and government and courts all you want in a really practical sense. if you and someone you're working with have a piece of paper where you outline what you expect from each other and what happens if someone breaks those expectations, you're in a position to succeed. You're already doing 90% of what the work is. And so based on that, the 5 agreements that we set our clients up with is, one is a privacy policy. This is about the rules of how you keep and store and collect and use and share personal information, right? So now everything's done online through an app. People are putting the information in. You're facilitating the transfer of sensitive information. And even if it's like credit card information, personal address, phone number, first name, last name, email, the law has all of these rules that you have to follow. So privacy policy is one of them. The second is a waiver of liability. The waiver of liability is the document that says someone is agreeing to participate at a class in your studio. In exchange for you allowing them to participate, they agreed not to hold you responsible if they get injured or suffer damages. But that document will only be good to the extent that it specifically outlines what equipment you use, what activities you're doing, where you're doing the activities, what happens if something goes wrong, the type of injuries that someone could sustain if that happens, how those injuries could impact their life. And with the waiver, it has to be super, super clear about what the risks are and what you're doing. The third agreement would either be an independent contractor or employee agreement for your team. Really, really big area of law. Things that always come up are, A, am I making the right classification? Like, are they even allowed to be contractors based on the state that I'm in? Second question, can I put in things like a non-compete or a non-solicitation? And how does that work? And then 3, just behavioral expectations of what someone's doing, what they're not doing, showing up on time, selling this, not selling that, overstepping boundaries, super, super clear on what it is. And then obviously, if you call them an employee, it's much easier because you have full control over the services. If they're an independent contractor, there's all these legal tests that you have to satisfy so that they are actually, in fact, an independent contractor. The 4th agreement would be a studio membership agreement. This is the agreement that you have with all of your clients. There's these new set of rules that came into effect this year called the click to cancel rules. So anytime you have recurring membership payments, there's all these legal things that you need to include. But then also for the membership, what's included, when are they paying, how can you fire your clients? Like, how can you fire your clients is a really, really big one in a studio because a lot of people misbehave and do things that make other people feel uncomfortable and make things that the instructors feel uncomfortable or whatever it is that they're doing. It's just, look, we're having you at the studio. Welcome. We love you. This is everything that you need to know. And in the event that we don't want you to come anymore because you broke this, it's very easy for us to be able to communicate that. And then the 5th agreement would be a media release and a social media disclaimer. So we put them as one. A media release allows you to use the photos and images you take of your staff and of your community. So you're doing an event or you're taking pictures of classes or people are there. Legally, you have to get their permission and ownership over the materials to use it. And then a social media disclaimer protects you for whatever it is you talk about and do on social media or that you're showing or leading or facilitating to keep your butt covered in that arena. So if everyone is still awake, we've made it through the five agreements.
When do you recommend, is this a one and done type thing, or do we need to revisit these, every couple of years or so?
Definitely, you'll need to revisit them. There's 2 instances that will arise when you need to revisit the agreements. The first is if the laws change. So as an example, click to cancel laws came into effect this year. Now there's all of these legal requirements for any recurring membership payment that not everyone knows about. Like, I get how if you're a studio owner, you don't think about this because you're not a lawyer, you're a studio owner. But that being said, I've had clients who've had a lot of issues by not following click to cancel and had to refund a lot of money from recurring payments, which is an issue. So the first is if the laws change, with click to cancel being an example. The second is if your relationship changes. So as an example, let's say I start off as a yoga studio and a hot yoga studio, but now I'm doing Pilates and I'm also doing hot Pilates. I would need to update the waiver of liability. I would need to update the studio membership agreement. And those would be to reflect the current relationships that I have. So if you're doing a pricing change, if you're doing a policy change for your staff, if you're starting to offer new services or new equipment, whatever it is, your agreements, your contracts should reflect the relationship that you have with whoever the relationship is with.
As a seasoned studio owner, where do you see the most places that we're missing?
The first thing, and I haven't talked about trademarks, but trademarks usually is one really, really sensitive area that probably most of the putting out fires that I have to do come from trademarks. And that's just because a lot of people don't know that you're supposed to register or that there are a lot of benefits to registering. So in super plain English, you've got an awesome studio name and you want to protect it. And what protecting, when you register it for a trademark, you're able to protect it so that you are the only one who's allowed to use it and that no one else can register with that name. One of the biggest problems that I see come up for a seasoned studio owner would be something along the lines of having a studio being open for 7 years, like being amazing, never registering a trademark. Another studio in another part of the country opens up, they open up, they register the trademark right away, they send you a cease and desist letter that you have to stop using your studio name. And like I go through that quite a bit with clients. So that's why whenever I have a platform like this, I'm happy to say like, hey, this is something that I would really recommend. And then I think just the biggest issue that a seasoned studio owner would come up with is that they don't have industry specific agreements and they didn't do things properly from the start. And then they just are sort of going on in their business, and then like a big problem comes along, and they're like, oh, I knew I should have done this before, and I don't know why I didn't take care of it, but when I was starting, I didn't have the budget to work with a lawyer, and then these things were fine. But like as an example, I went through a client who's been open for a lot of years, independent contractors, never evaluated the situation properly, ended up having a really big problem when they tried to fire their studio manager, who was classified as a contractor, because really she was treated as an employee and the worker knew it. And the worker, like, they tried to fire her and she's like, look, this is what you're paying me because you misclassified me, and if you don't, I'm going to report you to the IRS and you have to pay me this severance, and just like a nasty, nasty situation that you never want to be part of. So even if you have something, you want it to be industry specific and you want it to be updated as best as possible.
As somebody starting out, so we have all gamuts here, studio owners. I feel like all of them are super important as you're setting up. I mean, you need to have the five that you mentioned right at the top. Like there's not like one that's over the other, is there?
No, it's
Yeah.
if the only way that 5 becomes 4 is if you don't have anyone who's working for you. In which
Sure.
case the contractor and employee question isn't relevant in that document. But it's the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
If you're operating a business, and look, I know everyone who's listening is super hard leading, super community driven, puts a lot of time and effort into building this and a lot of money, and has expectations that this business is going to support their life and support their family. You have to secure it properly. So it's sort of like spending, think about buying a car but not having seatbelts in it. Like you need seatbelts, you need to stay protected. You have a business, you need to work with a lawyer who understands your business and stay protected. And it shouldn't be, in some ways it would be great if the government made it mandatory for everyone to have amazing agreements, because then everyone would just be protected and avoid a lot of issues. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And also, typically health and wellness studio owners aren't the most, don't have the most legal acumen compared to other industries, right? Hard leading people, and I get it because that's who I am, and that's what I was like before I became a lawyer. It's really important. Like, this is what you have to do. The same way you have to file your taxes, you have to have contracts that follow the laws and protect your business. And I've done this for so long, and I've worked with more than 1,500 clients, hundreds of studio owners all over the United States. You make the investment up front and it pays off in the end. Because when a problem comes up, and problems always come up, when a problem comes up, you want to be in control of the situation legally. And if you're using agreements that are outdated or don't follow the laws or don't reflect the relationship you want to have, then you lose control of the situation. And just like that studio who wanted to fire the studio manager, now they're held ransom by an employee. I've seen studios held ransom by students, and you always want to be in control of the situation.
Can we just go pop back over to trademarks? Do you help people with that? I'm assuming
Yeah,
you do.
of course. So trademark registration is probably 40% of our business, of what it is that we do. And I have a specific lawyer on the team, an attorney called in Georgia. She's called to the bar in Georgia, and all she does is trademarks for us. She doesn't do anything else because it's It's that busy, it's that important. It's really a core service that everyone has to look at.
All right, if you guys are still with us and you didn't glaze over, I know this is the tedious stuff. This is the nitty gritty. But as I love the analogy of a car without seatbelts, especially as we grow and get bigger and get to be the only option in town, and people know, like, and trust you. You got to stay on top of this. Cory is a preferred partner of mine. I have a list of vendors that I know, like, and trust, and he is, because of his specialty in this type of law for our studio owners, and that's what I help the studio owners. And I'm not a lawyer. I want to refer the best that I know. So Cory is a preferred partner. So if you reach out to Cory, make sure you tell him that you heard about him through the Brick and Mortar Visibility podcast, and or click on my referral partners, and his information is there too, and that'll set you right up to a landing page of his. I want to just transfer over now into a little bit of marketing. Cory has a very good Google business profile presence with amazing reviews. How many reviews do you have, Cory?
We're at 433, but who's counting?
But who's counting, exactly? So, as somebody who tells everybody to make sure they're updating their Google business profile weekly, I want to just talk a little bit about that. How are you getting such amazing? The number is awesome. So, how are you? Can you talk to us a little bit about your process? How you're getting them consistently?
I'll be happy to, and I'm also so happy to have this conversation, Melissa. So thanks for asking about it. Because as you can tell, Google review. The reason why Google reviews are so important to me is even before I started my business, I just noticed how many decisions I would make based on Google reviews. And I'm like, okay, cool. If I'm making all of these decisions like this, probably someone else is also. And if I saw a business that had 435-star reviews, I would have no hesitation whatsoever about giving them my business. And that's and that's what I want to show to the world. Like, hey, we're 100% confident we're going to get you a perfect result every time. So it is very, very important. And I'll just say a couple of things before I talk about the process of how we do it. The first is like having goals. So I set Google review goals just like I would set revenue goals, just as I set profit goals, just as I set any form of goals. So as an example, right now we're at 432. The goal by the end of Q2 of this year is 450, and the end of the year we're going for 500. The rule always is like they have to be 5 stars, and this is the truth. If I get to 499 5-star or I get to 493, I'll be okay. It's not like it's a goal, but it's not the end of the world. But it's really, really important that all of them are 5 stars. Secondly, why it's such an important metric to have is because this is what gauges how people feel about your business. And like, as long as a business owner, if you are dialed in and present and attuned to how people feel about working with you in your business, and you really, really care that people have an amazing, perfect experience working with you every time, that will just automatically raise the level of everything that you do. Because in the event that in the process someone's not happy, I would get on a call. Hey, what happened? Where did we break down? How can I be better for you? And one thing, and I travel the world. You know, I travel the world. One thing I love about the United States, whenever I'm in the United States and I go to a restaurant, the service and the way that service and waiters and waitresses speak to you in the United States is unlike anywhere else. And I'm in the United States and I just have my phone and I just write notes. Because what they'll do is they'll come over to you, you'll order, they'll check in to make sure everything's fine. They're going to let you know how long it's going to take. Then the food comes. Then they say, is there, how are your first couple of bites? Is there anything else that I can do? And the answer, as I'm saying this, it's like communication is the word, right? Communication is how you're going to get 5-star Google reviews, by being in communication with your clients, checking in with them. And look, I'll be honest with you. Not the process for me working with my clients, not every time was perfect every single step of the way. But anytime an issue comes up, if there's any semblance of frustration or disappointment or anger, the first thing I do is I call the person. Hey, what's up? This is Cory from Conscious Counsel. I understand that there might be a miscommunication. What can I do to support you? How can I help you? How can I make this better? How can we make this perfect? And so as long as you communicate with your clients and you give them opportunities to let you know, and you're proactive about communicating with them, they're going to have an amazing experience. If you're committed to it and you have a culture in your team and your team understands that your service first, I'm always reading books about this. The last book I read is called Unreasonable Hospitality, about a restaurant owner in New York City and how he had the goal of becoming the #1 restaurant in the world. Have you read it? Have you read that book?
No, but I'm writing it down.
Oh man. So, and it's just you see how the one thing that this business focused on more than anything else was hospitality, how to make people feel comfortable, how to be so hyper conscious and considerate for what their needs were and making it about them. That's what propelled them, amongst other things, obviously a lot of hard work, to be the #1 restaurant in the world. And I try to emulate that with my team. And every team call, I'll go over our mission and I'll share our values, and love and support and kindness and customer satisfaction is part of all of that. So if you live it and you breathe it and you share it with your team, they'll understand how important it is. I want to share one more thing about Google reviews.
Absolutely.
If it's okay. There is one trick that I'll share with everyone, and this is like, I've never talked about this publicly, but there is a trick for the Google reviews. The trick is called, you have to strike when the iron is hot.
Yes. Okay.
And so what I've learned about Google reviews is it's crazy because a lot of the times I'll have someone sign up for 5 documents, work with us, I'll ask them for a Google review. And I know that they're completely I know that it's not a question of anything else. I know they're completely satisfied. Don't leave a review. 5 days later, hey, Cory, I also need a trademark, and I'm referring you to my friend, and this. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Obviously, you had an amazing time, but like, what happened? What happened to the Google review? Like, obviously, you love me enough to come back to me and share our business with someone else. And so there is an art to figuring out at what point in the process to ask for a Google review. And it's like, it can't be too early because people have to go through enough of the process to know what the experience of working with you is like. And it can't be too late because it's like, we get people's attention span for a millisecond. Very, very little time are people thinking about you and your business. You think you're a studio owner that they're thinking all day. They're dropping the kids off to school, like on their phone, like just clicking, like sign up for class. They show up. They're like stressed about getting there on time. They have an amazing experience. They get into the car. They've got messages from the family, from the kids. They got to pick up dinner. They got to cook. They got whatever's going on. Like no one cares about you. No one cares about you. Everyone's in their own life. They're doing their own thing. But there is a very small window when you do have people's attention and when people are really, really satisfied. So as an example, one time that I'll always ask is, sometimes I'll lead a question with people. So I'll check in with someone if I know that we're close to the end. Hey, we're getting ready to wrap up the process. Was everything perfect? Is there anything that I can do to make things better? If they reply in a short window, no, everything's awesome, I'll let you know. Amazing. If you have 10 seconds to leave a review, it would mean a lot to us. Like that's one time I'll like condition them with a question to be like, hey, is everything great? They'll mirror back to me that everything's perfect. Then I'll ask for the review. And then also anytime you go above and beyond and do something that like you don't really have to do or that you shouldn't do, like think about giving someone an extra towel at the studio, right? You charge for towels $3. They don't have money. They don't come in. Hey, I'm happy to give you this towel. Like, if you have 5 seconds, could you leave us a Google review? Yeah, sure. Like, in that moment, it's quid pro quo. It's something for something. They're going to leave you a review in that moment. And it's genuine. You're doing something great. You deserve to be recognized. And it's a little bit more of the game of how to get, like, just finding the right moment to ask.
We're a top-rated studio. Like, we have hundreds more Google reviews than the competition. Do you find that it's maybe a little harder as you get more Google reviews?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. People should love giving you reviews because they love working with you. And it should be a pleasure for them. You just get as many, it's like rain. Like we love rain. We always love rain. I'll never complain about rain. I'll never complain about money. The soil needs rain. The plants need rain. Anytime money's coming in, it's a good thing. Google reviews are like rain, and they're like money. I'll share a couple of other just thoughts that come to the top of my mind. One is that I'll often make it about the team and not about me. So if I'm speaking with someone, I'll say something like, hey, if you've enjoyed working together, I know Tracy really worked, went above and beyond to do everything to support you. If you have 10 seconds to acknowledge her, it really means the most to them. We have monthly meetings. We do evaluations. We read the reviews out. She gets so happy whenever we do. Like, whatever you have to say. And all of this is predicated by the point that people had an amazing experience working with you. So I'm not even talking about that. Now we're talking about people love your studio, you're top rated, they had an amazing experience, and now it's just a game to get the review. It's I've never tricked anyone. I've never told anyone what to say. I've never forced anyone, but it's just like persuasion. It's persuasive behavior to be tactical about how you get people to do that. So I would say that it's never happened to me like, oh, you have so many reviews. Why do you need one more?
No, no. Nobody's ever said that, but I am feeling, and thank you for just squashing that belief. So.
That's a story, and you can just it's for you. It's going to be your staff. It's training and teaching your staff. You have a team meeting. You're like, hey guys, our goal for the month of June is to get 30 reviews. So 31 review a day. You print a QR code. You put it at the front desk. Leave us a review. You have a script. Let's say you have employees, so you can give them a script. You have a script for onboarding, for a trial, like anyone's coming in for a 10-day trial. After the first class, hey, did you like your class? Would you feel comfortable leaving a review? And again, as long as you're offering good services and it's coming from a good place, people will be really happy to support you.
Today was awesome. I knew it would be. I saw your name on the calendar and I was like, ooh, today is going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day even if I don't see Cory. But I got to see Cory, so it's a great, great day. And my day is we are at 7:41 a.m. here in Hudson, Wisconsin. And you are ending your day in Greece.
My day's getting started. I work, so part of the things about traveling is that this is the first thing that I've done for work all day at 3:42 p.m., but it's lovely. Sure. But it's really nice. And I just want to thank you. And this has been the best part of my day so far. So thanks for energetically putting me on track. We've got a link for a free consult for anyone who listens to the podcast. So listen to the podcast in the show notes. We're going to give Melissa a link. It's going to get posted. Book a call with someone from our team. If you want to chat to me, be like, hey, I want to chat with Cory, and I'll be so happy to make time for you and see what we can do to get you protected so that you can keep living your dream and growing and building and being amazing and not having to worry about the boring stuff, and just let us take care of it because we're so good at it.
Thank you so much, Cory. And everybody else, I hope you gathered some wisdom here. We talked from mindset to legal documents to getting those Google reviews. What an awesome podcast. Well done, Cory.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm stoked on that.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Have a great week. We will see you here same time, same place next week. Peace. Bye-bye. Did you know the work you do today will shape your business 60 to 90 days from now? That momentum doesn't stop there. It ripples right into your personal life. So let me ask you, based on what you're doing right now, where are you headed? Will it be the same old thing, different day? Or are you really ready to level up? If you're shouting level up, let's make sure it actually happens. Join me and a crew of powerhouse business owners in my mastermind called Level Up, Your Business, Your Life. This isn't just another meeting. It's your secret weapon to accountability, strategic thinking, and inspiration. We meet monthly to empower each other, take bold action, and crush the goals that really matter. Want to know more? Head to the link in my bio or visit msmelissarose.com/mastermind. It would be my absolute privilege to be part of your journey to the next level. Let's make it happen together. I hope I get to see you in our next cohort of Level Up, Your Business, Your Life.